Yes, Susan.
Yes. One of my hobby horses in these conversations, when I talk to you guys, the professionals and entrepreneurs, I like to always give you a title that's associated with your story.
Okay.
So one part of it will be your real profession, and the other part is what you volunteer to do. Now, I'm tempted to call you a professional banker and community builder.
I will accept that gladly.
Because already you have jumped into your what you love most, which is the community building. And I'm very glad when a professional like you talk like that, because it worries me that we have so many young people out there that they don't know what to study for and which universities to go to. And yet we have gone through that, we have made mistakes, and we are not telling the stories. And then we just sit back and allow them to do the same mistakes.
Indeed.
And that is not really right.
Indeed.
So just to kickstart this current episode now, so what subjects do you do that qualified you to go to Rhodes in high school?
So in high school, I did the sciences and maths, which was not my choice because I would have liked history and geography.
Yes.
That side. But those days, if you pass well, you are given the academic side. And then they say, no, you don't. If you're not doing well, go to general.
Yes.
So I really never enjoyed maths and science, and that's been a handicap throughout my life. So I'd already done those, and then when I went to Rhodes, I wanted to study law, and the decision to study law was taken whilst I was in jail. And it was sparked by the injustice I would see every day. Because we had been charged with a crime, we were not in prison with other activists.
Yes.
We were in prison with other awaiting trial prisoners for common criminal offenses. But because of our age, we were in the juvenile section. Now, that juvenile was anybody that the guards decided was juvenile. So the thing that hurt me a lot was that there were many young people there who were either accused of or had committed very minor crimes for very little amounts. But they were in jail for 3, sometimes 4 years. And because they could not afford bail. And they would go out, go to the court, and then the case gets postponed and all of that. And so that sense of injustice made me to want to take up law as my study. And so I went to Rhodes then to do law and politics when I joined the university.
And that was your junior degree?
That was my junior degree, yes.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it immensely. Politics more, because I think I could study from a distance, because I was not one for attending lectures. And I was always busy with the politics on campus, and so I didn't attend many of the lectures I should have attended. But the politics department, I could do so much without having to attend most lectures. The legal department was not as accommodating. So I was always in trouble there together with other fellow activists that were doing law. Because sometimes we would be arrested or sometimes we would be running away from the police and therefore we don't attend our lectures. But we had one thing as activists. So regardless of what happens, come exam time, or come a tutorial, or come an assignment, you have to pass. Because you have to represent the very best of the organization. So you could not be seen in a negative light. So we had this view that as an activist, you have to be at a higher level of conduct, at a higher level of behavior than others. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the law a lot. And I found that over time, even today, I'm still a huge student of the law, and I get excited about cases.
Yeah.
If I hear a case has been decided, I'll go read the case and be excited about it.
Good. And according to you, you were planning to become a practicing attorney, right?
That was my plan. So when I finished my first degree, firstly I had to deal with the issue of the graduation. Some of your listeners will not know that at the time we had a graduation boycott. So we didn't attend graduations as part of our response to apartheid.
Yes.
So at that time, the graduation boycott was lifted that year. But three of us who were in the top leadership of the student organization felt that it was not the right message that the graduation boycott is lifted the year we are graduating. Although we opposed it to be lifted, the point is people will see us graduating and say the reason was...
So you were conflicted.
Yes. So we decided on our own not to go to the graduation. And obviously there were no cell phones at the time. We didn't tell anybody else. And the students were shocked to see that we were not there, because one of the things that was happening then was there was an honorary degree being given to Dr. Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
Yes.
And the students were quite upset by that and felt that we had abandoned them to make a decision about that. So we couldn't win whether we were there or we're not there.
Yeah.
But in the end, I now have to make a decision about what do I do postgraduate, and do I do my honors in politics, or do I really now pursue the law? And I decided on pursuing the law, and that was doing my LLB. Yes.
Wow. I've always thought, because you and I, we met in the banking sector, and I've always thought that maybe you went through those banking courses and programs.
Not at all.
I didn't know that you came from the law into banking.
I came a very different direction. My career has been a lot of very fortunate steps.
Yes. Of
just people believing in me. And that's one of the things I'm quite grateful about in my life.
And so, but most of your colleagues that did law with you, did they end up practicing law?
Yes, they did. So we have some amazing colleagues I studied with. They run law firms. Others have deviated from law firms. They are in big companies, like our group CEO for the Standard Bank Group, Shem Chabalala.
Yes.
He was 2 years ahead of me, but we were in the same student organization together. And
he studied law.
Practiced law. He practiced law and qualified as a lawyer and practiced for a while. And then he then went into the corporate world.
Wow! So yes. I think you are also implying out to the listeners there that law is a very good start to go into corporate as well.
It does. I think it gives you such a broad overview, and I think that most people should know. And the more I talk about my career, it might come out that you may find yourself in an environment which is not what you wanted, or what you thought you want is not what you have, and therefore you can make a decision to change course.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I'm going to take you back to the campus, because
yes.
I was talking to somebody and I said that university is a microcosm of the society. And often we find ourselves confused to say, do I become part of the society, the political movement, the sports organizations, all cultural activities that happen? So will you say that, of course, in your case, obviously, you had your own challenges, so you couldn't be full-time on campus all the time. I guess you're always coming in and out. But when you look back to your years on campus, what are the things that you put high up there as the things that you like students when they go to campus need to participate in those things, because that's the only once in a lifetime opportunity when you're on campus?
But Sam, I could not emphasize this more. I have a daughter now who's starting university, and I've emphasized to her to say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Explore as wide as possible. Enjoy the time at university. So the things I could really highlight was, firstly, I played sport at university. Because my family came from a cricket and rugby environment, when I was at high school, I was not allowed to play football. When I got to Rhodes, I found that football was the most popular sport. So I ended up playing at Rhodes and ended up playing for the first team for the university. And we also had the other smaller soccer teams which were more social. I played there. I also played rugby for the university. I also participated in cultural activity. We had something called creative arts that we participated in, and then obviously I participated in the politics of the campus. In my first year, I was elected as the president of the Black Student Movement. That was the equivalent of an SRC for Black students. So I had a full, life on campus. I made many friends. I have remained very close to so many people. And then about last year, the university did a reunion, and I was asked to speak about our time at university. So I was asked by the other students, and it was hilarious when I was telling the story of all of the things that we did on campus. So I have absolutely no regret. I had my fun, but I always remembered why I was there. I would find my balance. People would say things like, but you are launching us. We were together at the party, and then suddenly you've got a good mark. I'm like, yes, we're at the party, but we all went to sleep. You decided to sleep. I took a cold shower and studied. So it is my choice because I know why I'm here. My father and my mother would never accept underperformance. So I think that young people must really, really enjoy their time at university and give it their all.
If you look at it, it is not about them and their parents. It's about the society. When you start going into the university, that's why I'm a proponent of government providing education to everybody who qualifies. Because it's not about your family only now. You are becoming a responsible citizen. Out of you, we could have a CEO of a company, we could have a president of the country, you could have ministers of the country. So I feel that education is not something that could really be taken lightly. And those who qualify to go to that level, they need to, because when you graduate, there are certain positions, you will know very well, there are certain positions when you occupy in a society, the beneficiaries are multiple people. This is multitude of people, Take a CEO of your bank. I mean, how many people is he impacting in running that institution as a South African bank? Take a governor of the Reserve Bank, You take a minister of whatever minister. It is really, and I feel very strongly that institutions of learning, as much as people get glory individually, but they determine the success of a nation.
Indeed, and I think also the ability to build relationships with people that you don't know, to get to know other people's cultures, to get to know other people's languages, is a huge benefit. I remember at Rhodes we had students from all across the continent, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Zambia, from Zimbabwe, and then we had people from all across the country, people who came from rural areas, people who came from Soweto, Limpopo, and today we are all adults. We've got a Rhodes WhatsApp group. But we've learned so much from one another. So I fully subscribe to that. A lot can be gained from university years.
Absolutely. And did you get the scholarship, or did the parents fork out the fees for your studies?
So for my studies, I ended up with a loan. I always credit a man called Mr. Durant from FNB. Unfortunately, he passed away now, but went to him, showed him my results. All he wanted from my father was a letter of suretyship. And I studied through those loans from Mr. Durant, and then when I qualified, I was able to pay back that money.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So that he had the confidence that you will make it.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah. So now, at what point did you start preparing for the exit from the university? Is it when you were doing your postgraduate?
Yeah. No, this was a strange thing, because the thought of leaving the campus still was not there. Because the first problem was that I was almost expelled for one of these things that we do when we're young. We disrupted some meeting organized by some racists on campus. So that meant that 3 of us were then charged by the university, and we were then given suspended expulsion. Unfortunately for me, both my co-accused left, and one passed away, but I still had another year to stay on campus with a suspended expulsion over my head. So, and then I also didn't think about where would I work and all of that. And so I just continued on. There would be times where people come from different campuses, companies, and would go talk to them. But one day I was at a conference in Limpopo, and I got a letter from a law firm saying to me that I'd got a job at a law firm in Johannesburg.
Wow.
I just need to come for a final interview. And it was like, oh my word, I can't remember. I never applied, but that's why I say my life has been a lot of good fortune. And that's how I was able to get my first job after leaving university.
Wow, that's really amazing. So
it is.
It does show that probably your activism was not looked in bad light from all angles. There were some others who were saying, this one, he will be very good.
The results at least were continuing to be good.
Yeah.
And so they would overlook the activism.
Yeah. Wonderful. Just before we leave the university life and go into the corporate life, which I can't wait, because I know your career has been quite amazing.
Thank you.
For a young star that's listening to you, wanting to study law at the university, how do you think they should prepare for that transition to go and study law at the university?
I think they must ask themselves a couple of questions. Why law? Which aspects of law excite them? And also, what are these things that they like about the legal profession? Now, I know that what they may see and what they may listen to may eventually be very different from practical law. But in the law, the legal profession itself, it is an environment for those people who like reading. If you don't like to read voluminous documents, then law is not going to be for you. Also, they need someone who's meticulous in remembering how a certain law applies, how a certain case applies, and so on. But generally, I think that most people who study law get fulfilled, as I was. Just the love of the law and its implications is just something amazing. And the fact that, we might have views as lay people about a case or about something.
Yes.
But when that is put under legal scrutiny, the judges will apply the law in the manner they seem fit, and we may be upset with them.
I've experienced that frustration a number of times.
Yes, because we're using our lens. We're not using the court's lens. So sometimes we see a lawyer saying something that we think is wonderful, but that thing that they are saying is not actually even taken into account by the judges, because it's not germane to this. So sometimes with TV, it can be misleading, because you can think this person is making great point, but the judges are not listening to that because it's not germane or important for the case that we're dealing with.
So emotions don't work in law?
Emotions are not meant to work in law. It's got to be, what does the law say? And in those countries that have a constitution, the constitution is the supreme law of that country. And therefore, any act of government, any act of parliament, any law passed by parliament, any activity by an administrative official, if it falls foul of the constitution, it can be declared unconstitutional.
Fortunately, we've had such great cases in South Africa now. People are starting to see the beauty of law and appreciate it.
Yes, in fact, I think of our founding fathers and mothers were very, very, very far-sighted. Because they knew they would be in the majority. They knew that they would lead the country. But they made sure that the Constitution gave so much protection so that even when they are no longer there, even when a government is no longer behaving in the manner that it should, the Constitution would remain supreme. I think that we don't give people like Oliver Tambo enough credit for some of the principles that they worked on. I hear sometimes other people say, no, this constitution is too weak. It's not. It's a powerful constitution. It's weak if you want to abuse it. But the law itself is very powerful. And I think those people asked by Tambo, whether it was Kada Asmal, Squengia, Albisax, and those people, Dala Omar, to work on those things during the time of struggle, it helped to make sure that our constitution really is above board. Wonderful.
And I'm sure it must be a beauty for law students to look at it whenever they are on campus studying law.
I hope they would, because so many jurisdictions refer to our constitution as really far-sighted, as really, shaping the law as it should, and shaping where society should be going. So there are amazing legal principles that are now carried by our courts, whether it's against abuse by government or abuse by corporates or abuse of the environment or anything like that. I think our constitution is very strong on all of that.
Beautiful. Am I right to say that it might seem like if you study law, you are only destined to become a practicing attorney or go and work for a national prosecuting authority? But that's not the case. They are in every sphere, in every sector. There is a space for legal people to join. I mean, look at yourself now, where you are.
Indeed, I think that there is a broad scope. There are lawyers who are deal makers in corporate finance.
Yes.
There are lawyers who draft contracts. There are lawyers who appear in criminal cases. There are lawyers who are strong on civil matters. There are lawyers who are notaries and conveyancers who deal with houses and how to buy houses. There are marriage lawyers. There are lawyers of sports entertainment law. So the legal profession is so broad. And one can find themselves. I mean, in my company, there are so many people doing all sorts of things. And sometimes only when you're having a conversation and they say, okay, what did you study? And they say, I studied law. Oh, but I never practiced.
Yeah.
And so the legal profession, I think like most other professions, are wonderful, what you call foundations. Whatever you've studied is an important foundation. You can then build on it something else. I'm a firm believer of lifelong learning. So whatever foundation you come with, now these days somebody who did marketing can end up doing an LLB. You know, so there's just so much that one can do. Someone can become an advocate. Someone can become a practicing attorney. Someone can be a legal practitioner for some NGO. Others are company secretaries. Others are serving on boards of companies. So there's just so much that a person can do with their legal profession.
And I was saying to somebody, I've never come across an unemployed lawyer.
I hope not. I hope there are lots of opportunities out there. But obviously there are challenges sometimes with the economy or briefing patterns for advocates where there's a very strong view, which I fully support, that sometimes corporates and the public sector don't brief enough female and black lawyers in South Africa. This is something that is being attended to, but the pace has to be much more faster.
Beautiful, lovely. We're going to come back and look at your corporate life much closer. I can't wait for that. We'll be back.
Okay, thank you.
Lovely.